私は今人生で一番途方もなくてとんでもない大きな計画を立てている。あれ、もしかして潜水艦？
Making a friendship in a story feel believable can be quite difficult. It's a process of manufacturing an aspect of life that, for most people, is supposed to be intuitive. But I think it's something A Place Further Than the Universe manages to pull off incredibly well. The relationships between its characters just feel real. More specifically, the friendship between the four girls the series centers around. There's something genuine about their interactions and connections, and it's why, in this episode of The Storyteller's Notebook, a series in which I analyze various storytelling techniques from various creators and various mediums, I want to talk about A Place Further Than the Universe and why its friendships work so well. And yes, spoilers ahead. To quickly summarize, A Place Further Than the Universe, or Sora Yori Tooi Basho in Japanese, or just Yori Moe for short, follows Kimari, an indecisive high school girl with a big heart who wants to make the most of her youth, struggling to figure out how. That is, until she runs into Shirase, a determined yet timid girl in her school who's dead set on going to Antarctica, where her mother died on an expedition, and Kimari decides to help her in her grandiose endeavour. Along the way, they're joined by Hinata, a clever and upbeat convenience store worker who's happy to join them, and Yuzuki, a child star desperate to make some friends, and together the four go through all sorts of trials and tribulations on their seemingly impossible journey to one of the world's last frontiers. It's an odd premise that's executed with a surprising amount of style and depth, thanks in no small part to the authenticity of the relationship between its main characters. They love to joke around, have fun, and are more than happy to argue and call each other out on their bullshit. But they're also acutely aware of each other's feelings and insecurities, and toe the line between giving each other the space they need to figure things out, and going out of their way to help each other, no matter the cost. There's a genuine sense of care and compassion between these four friends that slowly develops over the course of the series, to make us laugh, make us cry, and warm our hearts with its simple relatability. However, the show is also keenly aware of how relationships like this can become strained, which we see in Kimari's friendship with Megumi. Megumi is Kimari's childhood friend who's always been there to support her, acting almost like an older sister to her. But as Kimari becomes more independent and relies on Megumi less and less, we're left with the impression that this friendship is slowly fading, something Megumi is all too painfully aware of. As a result, she starts spreading rumors about Kimari to try and make her stay. She's desperate to keep Kimari around because Kimari's dependency on her makes her feel like she has some worth in life. Upon realizing how horrible she's acting, Megumi tries to stop being friends with Kimari, thinking she'd be better off without her, but even after learning of the things Megumi did, Kimari rejects her breakup, and they keep in touch with each other during the expedition. Like in real life, Yori Moe's friendships aren't rigid things. They ebb and flow, sometimes getting stronger, sometimes fizzling out, and sometimes being rebuilt entirely. This uncertainty grounds the characters' friendships, and as a result, makes it easier for us to relate to them. The characters' chemistry builds on this. Their personalities bounce off each other naturally, with Kimari's naivety being called out by Hinata's cynicism, or Kimari, Hinata, and Shirase's spontaneity conflicting with Yuzuki's obsession for organization, or the way Yuzuki's on-screen charisma contrasts heavily against Shirase's camera shyness, and so on. These differing traits make the cast's interactions more dynamic, and in some situations, helps give us deeper insight into each character. For example, in episode 5, when they learn that someone is spreading rumors about Kimari and Shirase, Kimari is unsure what to do about it, showing the extent of her indecisive nature. Shirase, on the other hand, wants to confront the people spreading these rumors, and knock them out, probably, giving us a glimpse into Shirase's intense loyalty for the people she's close to and how far she's willing to go for them. But Hinata thinks it's a waste of time to worry about it and they should just ignore it, leaving us with the impression that she's the type of person who'd rather focus on making the most of the time she has instead of worrying about the drama of high school life. The characters' distinct personalities and perspectives add a layer of nuance to their relationship that makes their conversations and arguments feel all the more authentic. But these differences go deeper than enhancing the comedy or melodrama of a scene, as the characters also reflect and contrast each other thematically. Kimari's upbeat personality complements Hinata's merry-go-lucky nature, but at the same time, her hesitance contrasts Shirase's unbreakable resolve. Yuzuki's rigid view of friendship contrasts the way Shirase, Hinata, and Kimari simply go with the flow to get to know each other, while her calm demeanor both contrasts Kimari and Hinata's expressive optimism and reflects Shirase's intensity. Hinata's desire to try and leave behind the hurt caused by the friends who betrayed her is contrasted by the way Kimari tries to stay friends with Megumi, but also reflects the way Shirase pushed through the bullying and backtalk she suffered through whilst trying to find a way to get to Antarctica. It creates an interconnected web of experiences that helps the characters connect with each other in ways that, over the course of the series, lets them all grow. Without Shirase's relentless drive, Kimari wouldn't have been inspired to take that first step toward making the most of her youth, becoming more decisive, and just doing the things she wants to do instead of constantly worrying about what might go wrong. The emotional support Hinata gets from the others, specifically from Shirase, helps her overcome the betrayal she went through and lets her slowly become more willing to rely on and be open with others, instead of constantly hiding her feelings behind a smile. The vague nature of their friendship helps Yuzuki learn how elusively fluid friendship as a whole is, and to embrace the time she's spending with them now instead of worrying about whether or not their friendship will last later. And with the support she gets from them all, not only does Shirase make it to Antarctica, but when they reach the place where her mother went missing and Kimari, Hinata, and Yuzuki frantically search for and find the last remnant of her, Shirase is finally able to come to terms with her mother's death. The support these characters get from each other not only helps them all to see and understand what they're missing, but also pushes them to overcome their individual struggles, confident that the others have got their back. The relationship at the core of Yorimoi's story gives its characters a foundation from which to develop. Yorimoi's friendships don't just work because of how real they feel, and the way the characters involved in them contrast and complement each other both comedically and thematically. They work because they help the characters grow as people together. And I find that quite fitting, since I feel like that's the whole point of the series. It tries to show us how when we set out on an adventure, whether it be a literal one to some arbitrary location, or the one we take through life, the part we remember most isn't the destination or even the journey itself, but it's the people we meet along the way who help us reach that metaphorical place further than the universe. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Tell me what you think. If you agree, disagree, who your favorite character in Yorimoi is, whether or not you think Shirase's obsession with penguins is concerning, etc. And thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this and want to see more, check out my April Fool's shitpost video where I theorize about whether or not cartoons are real. Or check out my video on Annihilation and why its surreal creatures, landscapes, and existential themes make it so fun to watch. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe to come fly with me. You can also follow me on Twitter for more updates about this channel and other stuff, and hopefully I'll see you later.